And then we start contemplating, right? So the time of death is uncertain. And particularly the time of my death, because that's the main contemplation here. You can include other people too, people you love or attached, more like people you're attached to actually. But if we focus mainly on the time of my own death is totally uncertain. Then the first reason or contemplation is that it's really clear, right, that the lifespan on this planet is totally uncertain. So if I look around, right, this is my own, so we start contemplating, right? Each of us has to think, it's me, I have to contemplate about myself, right? That my lifespan is uncertain. So actually on this planet, for sure that's true, right? Whereas in every city in this, every major city in this country, right, there's cancer wards with children. And there's children dying of various diseases. Also teenagers. So if we have some feeling, oh, well, I should live at least till I'm 80 or 90 or something. Right? Well, I'm no different. I have no special status. Right? Every day, children and teenagers die. If I look around on this planet, right, so very few, every now and then, right, there are a very small number of people who die around 100, who live that long. Right? And then at every age, though, many, many people are dying. Right? So many people die in their 20s. Most of us here have known people. Right? Either known people ourselves, or directly or indirectly. And all of us have heard stories, right? Or known people, or lost people who were very young. So many people, right, die in middle age. So at every age, right, people die. So if there's some subconscious tendency in me, right, to, like when I'm doing my retirement planning or thinking about the future, right, I have this unconscious bias to assume, yeah, vaguely I know other people die at my age, but I have this unconscious bias assuming not me. And everybody has that bias until they overcome it. So here we contemplate. There's absolutely no certainty as to when I will die. The time of my death is totally uncertain. That's the existential nature of life on this planet. So I'm totally subject to death. Then the second contemplation. There are so many conditions that can lead to death, and it's difficult to stay alive. And so, each of us, right, as I contemplate this one, right, I have to remind myself. So first of all, right, I started to talk about this a little while ago, right, the conditions that can lead to death, right, the number of diseases is endless. And then there are non-disease things like an aneurysm, or people die of heart attacks, of strokes, of all different kinds, right? There's cancer. Any part of the body basically could have cancer, right? So you could say cancer, then you could break it down. Brain cancer, lung cancer, stomach cancer, skin cancer, right? there are so many inner conditions that can lead to death. So like these are like diseases, right? Or faults within one's own body. And then there are countless external causes, right? Natural disasters, terrorism, murder, war. Apart from natural disasters, there are just like car accidents, buildings collapsing. There's just endless causes of death. And then even the things I do to stay alive can cause my death. So like every week this happens, right? People have to eat to stay alive, but then sometimes there's a problem with the food, right? We hear about that, right? Like E. coli or other diseases that are in the food that was polluted somehow, then it kills the person. Like, so also we go to the doctor to stay alive, right? It can help us stay alive. But actually every year there's a humongous number of deaths due to medical mistakes. It's totally true, right? There's huge numbers of people who die because they went to, so if you don't go to the doctor you die, but if you go to the doctor that can cause your death. First of all, doctors make mistakes, pharmacies make mistakes, hospitals make mistakes. Then there are also just like, sometimes in the hospital somebody else has like a terrible disease and it spreads throughout the hospital, kills people. And if we take medicine, then it may make us better, or it may have a side effect that kills us. So there are so many causes for death, and I can't avoid them, actually. If I never leave my house, that'll cause my death, right? From starvation or something. If I do leave my house, then I may get in a car accident. The point is, existentially, I can't avoid all the possible causes of death. So the time of my death is uncertain. That's the nature of life on this planet. And there's so many things within my body, and then outside my body in the environment, from other people, that can cause my death at any time. And the third contemplation of this, or reason for this one, is that the very nature of my body is that it's vulnerable or fragile like a water bubble. It seems sometimes I feel like my body's quite solid or something. But the reality is that the tiniest thing, like the tiniest virus, right? Which like, even at home microscope you couldn't see it, right? You need like a special microscope to see it. Just like the tiniest virus like that can totally end my life. This body is so fragile. The tiniest bacteria. A few small cells that turn cancerous. Right? The tiny little aneurysm that really is like the size of a water bubble. It's actually smaller than a water bubble, than most water bubbles. Or like, if you think of a stroke that kills people, right? It's just the tiniest little clot. Totally minuscule. This body is like changing every instant, in every cell, every organ. And its nature is, it doesn't remain the same for even a moment. It's utterly vulnerable and fragile. So by recognizing that the existential nature of this life on this planet is that the time of death is uncertain. There are so many causes that could lead to my death. Even the things I do to stay alive could lead to my death. And this body is totally fragile, like a water bubble. So the conclusion is, it's really true I may die any instant, so I can't procrastinate. I must focus on the Dharma practice now, in this very instant, with no procrastination, no waiting. I must practice Dharma now. So we'll take a few minutes to kind of contemplate those points.